Hello, this is Dawn McCoy with Flourish Leadership Group, where I ignite your leadership to the next level. I'm so excited you tuned in because it is an exciting time to talk about those who are most memorable, leaders who we remember. If you're joining me live, type a 1 in the box if you can hear me. And if you're joining on the replay, type hashtag replay. I am so excited because I love to talk about leaders who we remember. I mean, my goodness, we talk about leaders who we forget. No, we talk about those who are most memorable. And let me tell you, the ones who I find to be the most memorable are those who have done dynamic things. They've made contributions, they have helped, they have been a resource, they are just all around good people. So, if you grab pen and paper, I'd love to have a discussion today about how we can talk about more memorable leaders and how they are, what makes them so memorable. I know it is a time in history where we can always acknowledge those who are doing something, but those who we remember are the ones who go down in the history books, those who we acknowledge, those who we maybe disparage, and those who we are sort of like indifferent, going, my goodness, that's a leader. Wow. What is it about them that makes them memorable? Well, I know from my experience of looking and studying leaders over time, it's remarkable. That's right on cue, of course, to be able to acknowledge that we have an interesting time to wait as we understand how leaders can be pivotal. And what we mean by that is that leaders can be extraordinary in what they do, in how they are always always taking that time to be conscientious about what they're doing and serving others. It is a way to think about how they can be mindful, how they can be conscientious, and how they can be really dynamic in what they do. Take, for example, a leader who is someone who does something terrific and amazing. We can look at someone who, like FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president, who hosted fireside chats, who hosted discussions with his subordinates, with community and others. And he did things in such a way that were not always conventional, but most memorable, because it was a way to really dispel myths, to really bring the message to the people, bring the people to the message. And what we know about his leadership is that he was effective in being able to be dynamic and being strategic and thinking and being able to be pivotal and resourceful. What I know to be true is that leaders are often ones who are extraordinary in what they are able to do, what they're able to sustain, and how they're able to maximize their resource and impact. So what does that all mean when you break it down? Well, it really means that leaders are able to do so much in a short period of time because they are very focused and laser focused on what they're doing. And why I say laser focused, because they have intention of what they're trying to accomplish, who they're trying to reach, how they're trying to reach people, and what they want to do. So in the example I just gave, it's one where we talk about something that's pivotal in that regard. On the flip side, if we talk about someone who is not a good leader, maybe they're not effective in communicating, maybe it's someone who doesn't take their time to really explain procedures or explain protocol or explain the expectations, then that's probably someone who is not an effective leader. And that's memorable too. So we have to remember in our minds that what keeps us in waiting all the time, whirling around in our brains is about leadership, is that it is not always a good quality, but sometimes that we can reflect about a bad quality of a leader. It makes them memorable. No judgment, no indictment, not naming names here in this particular live broadcast, but more of a discussion for us to think about what is it that makes it so memorable to us. And if we are in fact in turn trying to be highly regarded leaders ourselves, or if we are aspiring to be, or if we want to be, and we're inspiring those who are coming behind, I want us to think about what we can do to be very thoughtful and intentional of helping and being resourceful in enlightening others about this. So take, for example, again, another leader in the public eye. Let's look at former President Kennedy. So former President Kennedy was pivotal at a time in history where it was tumultuous, lots of hotbed issues, lots of challenges, civil rights movement, and other types of national and international chaos, and where he rose to the top with sort of a different perspective and was able to transcend, if you will, thinking That's something that was memorable because it had never been done in that particular way. And remarkably, he was able to be instrumental in bringing about significant change. Now, when we look at people like that and we look at them being able to do something, to be able to be pivotal in that sort of esteem, we know that they are able to be effective in bringing a memory to our minds about either quotes that they've had, work that they've done, contributions that they've made, or more importantly, how they were affecting other people. So when we look at memorable leadership and what makes it so meaningful to us is that we have to continue to think about, wow, why is that memorable? What is it about that person or those people that makes us think on our feet? Now, I know I've studied leadership for many years, both as a practitioner and as someone in the field and as a certified leadership practitioner, and being able to be a resource, but more importantly, someone who just is trying to do the right thing in roles that I've had. I know that many of you probably are doing the same. If you have had that experience, type a message in the box there about what memorable leadership you've had. Maybe it was as a community leader. Maybe it was in your faith-based organization. Maybe it was leading the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, or the PTA, or maybe some kids clubs. Whatever it might be, I want you to give yourself a pat on the back for taking on that leadership position, because it's remarkable that we have so many people who lead in memorable roles and then can pass that baton on. And that leads me to my final point, that I said about being able to pass that baton. It really is for naught if we're in leadership positions and we're not passing the torch, or we're not thinking about how we can be mindful to be able to share what we know with others. It is indicative of where we are in history that we have cycles repeating because people have not maybe passed on that manual, that handbook, the inside scoop, the don't pass it on. We have inside secrets that we need to make sure that we are training and providing and giving to the next generation of leaders. So I want to encourage us to think about what makes a memorable leader for us. And if so, what is it that we can in turn learn and glean from those leaders? It's imperative upon our society, individuals, our families, to pass along those ideas and concepts, because we have a time in history where it is so very important to do so. Again, this is Dawn McCoy with Flourish Leadership Group, where I ignite your leadership to the next level. And why I share this again is because leadership is so important in our communities, in our families, in our groups. Everywhere we go, we have leadership. Workplace, business, everything. And so what I want to challenge you to do is today to think about what makes a memorable leader for you, and in turn to think about how you can be an effective leader and become memorable yourself. What will it take? What can you do? I know I'm working on a compilation, my latest endeavor, of pulling together some stories, strategies, and ideas about some of my family who have been very instrumental in being in leadership roles over the years. And I'm really not sure when it will come together finally, but it is something that's in the works. I'm excited to share because I want to encourage you to do the same, to share stories and elements and ideas and concepts about memorable leadership. Well, that's all I wanted to share with you here today. Feel free to tune in again next week, 8 p.m. Eastern, for Leadership Reflections, and follow me across social at Dawn McCoy Books, and I look forward to seeing you again. Until we meet again, be enlightened, be enriched, be empowered.